Hey everybody, I'm Jesse and welcome to another edition of Gen X Thinks. And today I'm going to talk about Strauss and Howe's generational theory and the fourth turning and how that applies to Generation X today. Before I get into that, I'd like to thank Stallion45 for suggesting the topic. So thank you, Stallion. I appreciate it. I touched on the subject a few months ago in a previous video, but I haven't done an outright video on the fourth turning and their generational theory. When Stallion suggested it, I figured that'd be a good topic for a video. And to begin, I'd like to read to you an excerpt from the book. It's called The Fourth Turning, and it talks about the generations and how each generation, basically my theory that I've said to you before about time being cyclical, and Strauss and Howe, they basically say that, but they put it in a generational format. So let me read this to you, and then I'll go on and discuss, what they have said here and how I feel about it, and y'all can leave in the comments, how you feel about what they say here. But it's really interesting, and you'll see why here in a second. Okay, this is the generational theory and the fourth turning as applied to Generation X, and our archetype in this scenario is the nomad. Okay, Sigmas, basically, we're loners, and just that fits right in. Calling us nomads, it fits right in with who we are today. So there's a lot of coinciding references in here that you'll see, and a lot of it fits us perfectly. And you have to realize that this was written in 1997. All right, so 28 years ago they were writing this about us. Okay, survival skills are what society needs most in a fourth turning, and those are precisely what the most criticized archetype, the nomad, possesses in abundance. Through the natural corrected force of the seculum, the nomad was raised to excel in exactly those skills that history will require from him in midlife and at a time of real public danger. His challenge would be to stop dispersing these skills for scattered purposes and start gathering them for one larger purpose. Through the unraveling, the nomad has been able to withdraw from civic life, but come the crisis, he cannot. It will be his duty to ensure that whatever choices society makes will work as intended. In public life, the nomad must cut through the paralytic residue once built by his shadow, the old artist. In private life, he must rebuild the family and community rituals once discarded by the old artist. As he does this, the nomad will nurture the new child artist. The fourth turning will find other generations with lives either mostly in the past or mostly in the future. But it will catch Xers in their prime time, right at the midpoint of their adult years. They must step forward as the seculum's repair generation, the one stuck with fixing the messes and cleaning up the debris left by others. Every tool Xers acquired during their hardened childhood and individualist youth will be put to the maximum test. If Xers apply these tools for community purpose, they will become antidotes to the pathologies remembered from their own awakening era childhood. From divorce and latchkeys to public debt and cultural decay. Xers' gravest fourth turning duty will be their society's most important pre-seasonal task, to ensure that there can indeed be a new high, a new golden age of hope and prosperity. For the crisis to end well, Xers must keep boomers from wreaking needless destruction and millennials from marching too mindlessly under their elders' banner. They will not find it easy to restrain an older generation that will consider itself far wiser than they, and a younger one that will consider itself more deserving. For this, extras will require a keen eye, a deft touch, and a rejection of the wild risk-taking associated with their youth. From now through the end of the fourth turning, extras will constantly rise in power. From 1998 until around the crisis climax, they will be America's largest potential generational voting bloc. As the years pass, their civic contributions will become increasingly essential to the nation's survival. They will have to vote more, participate more, and they want to contain the boomers if they want to contain the boomers' zealotry. They will have that chance. Their own elected officials will surge into Congress as the crisis catalyzes, eclipsing boomers around its climax and totally dominate them by the time it resolves. As they go one-on-one with history, extras should remember that history is counting on them to do whatever hard jobs may be necessary. If the extras play their script weakly, old boomers could wreak a horrible apocalypse, and extras demagogues could impose a mind-numbing authoritarianism, or both. If extras play their script cleverly but safely, however, a new golden age will be their hard-won reward. As they age, extras should remember Hemingway's words, "Old men do not grow wise, they grow careful." Okay. Now we can talk about what Strauss and Howe said. I mean, did any of that ring a bell with any of you? Did it strike a chord, a resonant chord with you, as far as, you know, how we're living, the world we're living in today, trying to curtail the boomers' zealotry? They're out there burning Teslas and shit, you know what I'm saying? And then the millennials who think they deserve everything in life just handed to them. And that was written in 97. Okay, what is that, 28 years ago? So, yeah, that a lot of that rings true. And the toughest thing with me is the note there that said that if we play our hand badly, we'll get an apocalypse. The boomers will create it. That is what they said there, their theory. They think the boomers would create an apocalypse if we let them. And the reason that I'm torn there is because I kind of want them to. I want to let them. I want these people to get what they're begging for. I really do. If I could get, you know, 3 wishes, one of them would be that these people get the world that they're praying for, that they're clamoring for, that they're protesting for, all of the heartache that comes with it, all of the pain and suffering that comes with it. I really wish they would get it, because it would not be that painful to me. I would not suffer as badly as they would. I would be in my element. Yeah, it would be hard. Don't get me wrong. I'm not completely, you know, I'm not a complete fool. I know it'd be hard. Probably be the hardest thing I ever did, but I wouldn't shy away from it. I'm not afraid of it. Every turning point in my life, I did something that was the hardest that I'd ever done. You know what I mean? I've done that many, many times. The hardest thing I ever did. So it just doesn't scare me. And I'd almost want the boomers to bring on the apocalypse. Let the boomers and the millennials get exactly what they're fighting for, exactly what they want. I would love to hand it to them on a silver platter. The only thing that keeps me from just wholeheartedly in my heart, I mean, you know, because I don't have the power to just let them bring the apocalypse, because in my fits of anger or whatever, spite, I would have already done it if I had that power. But in my heart, the only thing that keeps me from truly 100% just wanting the apocalypse is my family. My wife and nieces and nephews and stuff, they would not enjoy it as much as I would. They would suffer along with the boomers probably. I mean, they would be better off than most people because they'd be with me, but they still wouldn't have air conditioning and, McDonald's cheeseburgers or whatever the hell. Yeah, I just wouldn't want people closest to me to suffer. Now, having said that, they say that the fourth turning in the book there, they say that the fourth turning is supposed to come to culmination in this time now, the 2020s, which coincides with the thing I talk about, the big event coming in 2030, right? The end of this decade or beginning of the next one. So what can we gather from this? If these theories and these these suppositions that align with each other, do they lend each other credence? Do they lend each other power or strength? Do they? Because the whole 10-year cycle thing about bad things happening every 10 years, major things happening every 10 years, the financial collapse of 2010, 9/11 in 2001, COVID in 2020, they're all a decade apart. So if you look at that, then the next one is coming in 2030. And this Strauss-Howe thing says that the fourth turning, it happens in the decade of the 2020s. So it will come to its culmination at the end of this decade. And that coincides with the 10-year thing. So what can we gather from this? Because we've seen so many of these things, all these doomsayers, and everybody's always, talking about the end of the world is coming and whatnot. But what can we actually expect? I don't expect a full-on global apocalypse. I mean, though that could happen, but there's gonna be some hard times depending on how you look at it, and your situation. But I mean, all evidence points to the fact that we're coming up on some hard times. And then will this current administration in the United States government, will they unknowingly or knowingly or whatever, will they usher in these hard times? Will they facilitate these hard times unwittingly, even, they, maybe not on purpose. And I'm not claiming they're doing shit on purpose, but look at the direction everything's going now. So it's really hard to say, but I don't think it's hard to say that we should be prepared for, just about anything. To me, this Strauss-Howe theory, though it's not concrete evidence, let alone proof, but there's so much of it that rings true today. So much about what they said about boomers, millennials, and Generation X that it's just absolute truth. So what they say about the fourth turning and the end of an era and bad times coming, possibly a golden age, in their estimation of it. It could be a golden age. But we just had, at the last turning, it was a golden age. So I don't think that we can really expect, multiple golden ages in a row, just by the law of averages, in my opinion. But so I think we've got some tough times ahead. I really do. The magnitude of the tough times, it's just hard to say. But I personally am gonna be prepared for it to the best of my ability, and hopefully I'll come out on the other end, in a Mad Max scenario, have me a cool car and shit like that, or maybe it'd be some kind of AI thing, because this AI shit's speeding up pretty quick. So maybe it'll be some kind of AI apocalypse, you know, where AI tries to take over the world and we'll be fighting robots. There's no telling. And of course, if 2020 is any signal or any sign, then it could be viral. You know, it could be a virus that gets loose on the world. So it's just no telling. It's hard to guess on that one, on what the difficult situation will be. But I think we can make a pretty educated guess that there will be one. All right, and I'll leave you there with that. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and comment. If you'd like to support the channel by becoming a member, I'll put that link down in the description, or you can head over to the channel page and become a member that way. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can do so by clicking on that super thanks button down there. Or you can head over to Buy Me a Coffee and buy me a cup of coffee. I appreciate those of you who do that. Thank you very much. If you're interested in Gen X gear, we got some pretty cool stuff over there at Redbubble. Gen X Thinks and Gen X branded stuff, t-shirts, coffee mug stickers, all kinds of cool stuff over there. But I'll put that link down in the description for you too, in case you're interested. If you can't or don't want to support the channel in any of those ways, you can always do so by sharing these videos on your social media. That helps out one hell of a lot, so thank you very much to those of you who do that. I sincerely appreciate it. And if you have any ideas for future episodes of Gen X Thinks, again, thank you to Stallion45 for this one. Please put those down in the comments, or you can email us, and the email is genxthinks@gmail.com. And as always, stay frosty, Gen X, and I'll see you on the next one.